All right, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Deal in the Cards podcast presented by 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. We're so happy to be here with you guys today. We've got a really exciting episode. I know not a ton's been happening in Cardinal land, but there's always stuff to talk about right here on Deal in the Cards. No Josh today, but it's awesome because we're joined by Ben. So thanks so much for joining us. And then as always, I'm Sandy. This is Andrew, and we just love doing this for you guys. So like I said, a ton of stuff to talk about. I know Andrew's got something he can't wait to rant about. So just get us started, Andrew.
Yeah, so yesterday we got news that Giovanni Gallegos, well, is a name that I was happy to be free of for the months that I was free of him, has signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers on a minor league contract. And now that means I have to watch him next year. And that's really upsetting because I don't want to see him pitch ever again. So I mean, my friend and I, who enjoys the Dodgers, he and I have a $20 bet now going that if Giovanni Gallegos has a sub 4 ERA, I have to pay him $20 next year. He seems to think that's going to happen. I think that's crazy.
Do you have an innings limit on that?
Yeah, 10 innings.
Okay, so he can't just
he can't just pitch 3 innings and then get DFA'd and he gave up a run.
Okay. All right.
Because that was what I saw happening. I could totally see Gio making 3 appearances.
Yeah, no, that not the Dinelson Lamet, we need an arm. Here you go, and then you're gone. Which it's crazy that Dinelson Lamet got a ring before Paul Goldschmidt and no one.
Why are you such a Gio hater?
Because he's all right. So in watching the Dodgers, you have the bullpen dogs, right? You have Trinan and Kopech and Phillips and whoever and Vesia. And they're always most of the time are going to give you a solid outing, and they clutch up in the right moments. Sometimes they'll have a bad outing, but that's they weren't going to win that game anyway. Gio's not a bullpen dog. He'll blow up on you when it matters most. Okay. That's just how it is.
Let me.
That's how it's been.
That's as someone who enjoyed Gio a lot as a Cardinal. During a 5-year stretch, okay, Gio had a 2.84 ERA with the Cardinals. He had a 2.83 FIP, a 1.42 ERA plus, 11 strikeouts per 9, 2.3 walks per 9. I feel that you never truly got on board the Gio train, and that's crazy. He never had an ERA plus under 100. He was an above-average reliever
in 2024.
Okay. 2024 notwithstanding, very small sample size. Until then,
very small sample size. Okay, that's
one of the best relievers in all of baseball for a 5-year stretch.
Sure,
it flamed out, but you could make a case that he was one of the best trade acquisition relievers.
In
the Cardinals' recent history. It was a great deal while it worked.
Oh no, I'm totally fine with
7 days a week.
I'll give him his flowers for what he did in 2018, but right now I don't really feel the need.
If Gio got the chance to, when he was closer, to pitch in a World Series or something, you'd have very different feelings about him.
I agree with that.
Not if he blew up.
Well, he would have had 1 game where he blew the save and 2 where he converted it, and that was the Gio experience.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Even in his Gio was never really a primary closer for the Cardinals, which I think people would have changed their tune on him because quietly he was incredible. I think there's an argument in 2019 that he was a top 2 reliever in the National League at least. 74 innings, 2.31 ERA, 1.82 ERA plus. Those are insane numbers. Those are better numbers than Cardinals closers put up a lot of the time too. Helsley's incredible, but yeah, that would have been fine in 2020.
I agree. But the issue is Gio had a strain or something. He had cramps or something and he couldn't get out. Yeah. So thanks.
I think the other thing with him is he never had the overpowering stuff.
Yeah.
Like that slider thing when it works, it was unhittable, but when it didn't work, it was one of the hardest pitches to watch. And he was slow. I get why he wasn't
slowness is one of the main reasons is that watching him pre-pitch clock was absolutely
painful.
That was rough.
Yeah, you're right about that. He could take forever.
That's one of the reasons I don't like. I forgot about that actually, and then it just started being I don't like Gio kind of bit, but I don't know.
That's fair. There also you could tell right away whether Gio was going to be good or not because he would come in and if he overcooked the slider, it was oh great, he's going to bounce all of these, and then he's not going to trust it after this first plate appearance, and it's just going to be fastballs down the middle. He had to have something to play off of it, and it was bad. And in those outings, he looked more like Genesis Cabrera than good Gio, and that was not a good sign.
Hey, I was a big Hennessy's fan, so careful on that one. But
I wasn't until he spiked the ball for Oli, and he disrespected Oli. When you disrespect my guy Oli, then we're gonna have some problems, which I think segues into our next topic, right, Sandy?
I guess, yeah. So we've got some exciting hot takes for you guys. I know what Andrew's is going to be as probably the biggest Oli truther on the pod, although Josh and I also dabble in liking Oli. But Andrew, why don't you just start right here?
Yeah, my hot take to start us off, that's what this episode is about. But I think Oli Marmol deserved his Manager of the Year vote. I think he deserved more Manager of the Year votes, and I think he's a great manager who should stay on with the team past 2025. And like he did a really good job in 2024, considering everything that happened, everything that went wrong with the team. Yeah. Not every manager will have your two best players completely fall off a cliff and still put up, what was it, 20 more wins than you did the year before. Like it just doesn't happen. And like he did get better roster handed to him, like rotation wise. But I mean, I feel like the 2024 team,
Lynn, though. Like it wasn't incredible.
Yeah, no, it was like with Lance Lynn, and also like, and yeah, Cody, I agree. If it was a postseason award, then Dave Roberts should have gotten the award for sure. But I don't think Dave Roberts minds not winning Manager of the Year when he's got his trophy. So that's totally fine. But yeah, I mean, the only manager I'd probably take over Oli right now would be like a Dave Roberts or Pat Murphy. If one of those guys became available in the National League side, then yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think Oli managed the bullpen exceptionally well. He completely overperformed the expected metrics. Like I view the 2024 team as just a flipped version of the 2023 team, right? Like the rotation was pretty solid the entire year. The bullpen was really good, but the lineup was absolutely horrible. And there were like it's like the 2023 bullpen where it's like, yeah, occasionally you'd have guys get hot. Like you'd have Contreras be hot for a little bit, and then
he doesn't play.
But then he gets hurt, and Burleson's hot for a stretch, and then he cools off, and then who else was even good this year, man? Like Larson Bar was pretty good, and Wynn had stretches, but like you never really had the unit come together like it did in 2023, where like the lineup was legitimately good, and I see people leaving the stream because I'm defending Oli, and that's totally fine, but I just think he did a really good job managing the team, and I don't think we've talked about this before. I don't think it can go both ways, where you can have Oli take the brunt of the blame, and then still like say that Mo built a horrible roster, because if Mo built a horrible roster, then Oli really couldn't have done much with it. And yeah, I don't know. It definitely. It is a touchy topic for Cardinals fans, but I really like Oli.
Yeah. Ben, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. Like, I don't want to blame the manager for doing the best he can with a roster that's not built to win. That's clearly imperfect, as we saw for 2 years in a row. Did I think he deserved more Manager of the Year votes? That might be a little too hot of a take for me. But he's kind of one of the – that's how I've always felt about Oli. When things are good, you're never going to blame him for it. When things are bad, it's probably been above it's not been his fault necessarily. I don't know. I think he's getting better. He's handling the media a little bit better. We don't see like those kind of more blunt, more difficult to answer, to hear answers this past year. So maybe he'll keep improving as a manager. The players have always seemed to like him.
Yeah.
Again, I may be too hot of a take to say more Manager of the Year votes. You got to win more games, probably be a playoff team to get that. But I see your point. I don't think you're wrong.
I think if like Manager of the Year, if you could put 5 people on your ballot, I think Oli would have gotten some support down ballot, and that makes a lot of sense to me. I think the only reason I wouldn't go as far as you, Andrew, in saying he deserved more votes is because I'm not sure last year Oli was a top 3 manager in the NL. But I think if you're making a list of the 5 best managers in the NL, it's not egregious to have Oli 4th or 5th. And obviously one person, Keith Law, had Oli 3rd, which is fine. I think it's good for him to get that recognition. But yeah, like I think Pat Murphy was the clear choice in the NL last year. Taking that Brewers team to the playoffs the way he did was really, really impressive. There were some other good managerial jobs last year. So I don't know if Oli should have gotten more support, but I'm with you in the sense of I think Oli gets too much hate from fans. And I don't think that's unreasonable at all. I think Oli Marmol did a great job with the bullpen. Like when you're looking at this Cardinals bullpen, I've got it pulled up here. These names are not impressive names. John King, who I'm a John King glazer, but not everyone loves John King. Kyle Leahy, Chris Roycroft, obviously Gio made 21 appearances. Zach Thompson is just these are not good pitchers. Nick Robertson, Riley O'Brien was hurt. He had injuries up and down. Even like Ryan Fernandez, Jojo Romero, these guys are cast-offs. Fernandez is a Rule 5 acquisition. The Cardinals traded Edmundo Sosa for Romero at the deadline, and then people thought Romero wasn't real because he didn't pitch for the Cardinals for over a week afterwards. Like these are not incredible high-profile names. It's not like the Padres, who were able to build this bullpen and acquire big names from all over the place. So, yeah, I think Oli did a great job managing that unit, and he deserves all the flowers in the world for it. And it's good that he's gotten that recognition. But yeah, I think I'm with you too, Ben, where it's like, if you're going to win this award, you probably have to win more games. And it sucks, but sometimes some managers just don't have a shot to win it. It didn't matter how great the manager of the Chicago White Sox was this year. Obviously, that was its own issue. It didn't matter how good, no matter who did that, though, you could have been flawless. And
Mark Kotsay got some votes for the A's. So you're not
that's honestly crazy because I just would never on 65 games.
Yeah,
but you're never going to get the recognition if your team is out of it. And for some reason, even though the Cardinals
sixth,
that's crazy.
They outperformed expectations
by a lot.
Yeah, he did.
It's different for the A's. I think the Cardinals' expectation was a little higher. So,
well, in the second half, the A's kind of came on strong for a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, around the Cardinals too, there was just this this thought that they were out of it. Even when the Cardinals had a wild card spot locked up at one point, people were I was talking to people in St. Louis. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to the games because the team stinks this year." I was like, "Do you know they're second NL wild card race right now? They'd make the playoffs if the season ended today." So kind of just a weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll address the criticism in the chat right now. It says Oli took way too long to move down Goldie and Arenado in the order. I guess that's fair, but look at a team like the Dodgers. If Shohei and Betts stopped hitting, how long would it take for Roberts to move those guys down? You ride or die with those guys, and those are your Ohtani and Betts in your lineup. And I don't see a world, and obviously we didn't see a world where those two were cold the entire season and the Cardinals make the playoffs. But the fact that Oli made it that close, I think, speaks volumes just how well he was able to manage the bullpen. And I just don't I don't see a world because who's batting third and fourth for you when those guys aren't right, as Nootbaar and Donovan are batting third and fourth, and it's Burleson is moving up to the top of the order because Goldie couldn't hit, and it's are those the guys you want to put your eggs in their basket? And it's no, you don't, because those are solid contributing players, but you need your guys to step up. Next year, if Jordan Walker becomes that third bat, then yeah, you can have Nootbaar and those guys supplement the lineup. And if a Nolan Gorman becomes a more consistent player and stops striking out at historically high paces, then you can build around those guys. But when all of your guys are not playing, who would you rather have batted third or fourth?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a 103 WRC plus for Goldie compared to a 106 WRC plus for Donovan. And it's well, you're getting 3% back. So I don't know. I'm not there were points during the season where I was yeah, they should probably move them down. But I was looking if they move them down, then they're basically punting on the season. So
yeah, that makes sense.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I guess the last thing I would say with Oli is he should get a lot of credit for the bullpen. That's most of what a manager's job, I feel is managing that. And he did exceptional in that. All the other things that went wrong may or may not have been on him.
Yeah.
But the thing I think, did you see the Blues today fired their manager to hire someone better?
Yeah.
It's not it was necessarily their head coach's fault on anything. I feel there's some similarities there with the Oli situation where he might not be the issue, but if somebody like that became available, I don't know who that is. I feel that's a move you would still make. So,
yeah, potentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, part of me maybe wishes the Dodgers had fallen short a little bit then, so we could scoop Roberts up.
Scoop up Dave Roberts.
He's a really good manager, but
he talked about managing the bullpen. Yeah,
that was masterclass in the World Series.
Yep.
It was good. Yeah. This is not a hot take. I'm just going to throw this out there because I just thought of it. Bullpen games suck. Okay. I hate bullpen games, and bullpen games in the playoffs are the lamest thing ever. Put your starter out there and let me watch someone.
Sandy, which starter did they have? They had 2 starters.
I don't care.
Which one of their injured starters? Yeah.
They had like 12 starters on the IL.
I honestly don't care.
They went without a bullpen game, and they threw Jack Flaherty in and became an accidental bullpen game. So,
That's
you
true.
can't play it.
Jack Flaherty sometimes is really good, and sometimes he's terrible, and that's the Jack Flaherty experience. And we know
that's an experience.
The possible rule changes where they're talking about I saw someone say 6-inning minimum.
It'll never happen.
Realistic. But like a 4-inning minimum would be interesting to me.
And you have to pitch 4 innings to start.
I think I'd consider it. Like unless injury. But
the injury risk is just too high because, say a Tyler Glasnow or somebody doesn't want to throw 100 pitches or throw 6 innings. If he has to be pulled from the game before that, then he has to go on the IL, and that's not something that
you'd have to reinstate the 7-day IL. That's what you'd have to do. So they only miss 1 start that way, and you can slide them back in the rotation. But I think that'd be an interesting rule.
I like tying it to the DH. You have to your starter leaves after 5. You don't get the DH for the end of the game. It's the only problem is with the best player in history being a DH, they'll never put that rule in because you lose Ohtani.
Well, he's also a pitcher, so you never.
I'm saying, but the days he doesn't pitch, if he's the DH and the Dodger starter goes out after 2, you don't want to take Shohei out. So that rule is not going to go in. But that's what I think the best fix for it.
It's a problem around the league too. No one wants to see Jordan get subbed out in the second.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although I love that rule because I think it forces you to actually manage the game.
I also just want to see pitchers hit again, but whatever. That's
bring back the double switch.
Yeah. Oh well, I guess that was kind of my hot take, but here's my real one. I think the Cardinals next year will be better than they were this year, and I think that might sound crazy to some people.
They're going to make the playoffs next year.
I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs.
They were pretty close to a playoff.
Yeah. What does better mean?
At least 83 wins. I think if I was looking at
84 this year,
I had 83 and a half wins. I think they won 83 games this year.
Yeah, so they're going to win 84 next year.
83 and a half. I'm taking the over, and I just think that I'm looking at the rotation on paper, and I think the rotation could be better. If you keep Fetty, they've already said they're keeping Gray now.
They're keeping Fetty?
If they do. If they keep Fetty, that makes Palante a potential 3 or 4 starter. I like McGreevy as a 5 a lot. I'm really high on McGreevy, obviously, though. That's been a consistent theme here. I think that I find it unlikely that all of your offensive players will hit their floors again. I think Nolan Gorman will be better if he plays. I think Jordan Walker, he has to be better. You have to keep betting on the talent with Walker, and it's such a frustrating experience right now. But I think he'll be better. I think Donovan, at this point, you know who Donovan is as a player, and I think he's just going to keep being that guy. Nootbaar, if he can stay healthy, he's such a great rhythm player. Once Nootbaar gets into a rhythm, he's unbelievable. You just need him to be able to stay healthy. Moving Contreras to first, that's awesome. You could have his bat in the lineup 155 times next year instead of 110 or 100. And, you don't have the injury risk of him at catcher anymore. Herrera getting in the lineup more often. He was the Cardinals' second best hitter last year. It's a lot of things that I'm kind of banking on going right in that scenario. But I'm more excited about that team than I was about 2024. Also, for the last 2 years, it's been the Cardinals will go as far as Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt take them. And in 2022, they took the Cardinals to great heights, super fun team. It was awesome. But in 2023, those guys fell off a cliff. They got even worse last year, and now they're gone. I believe
they also had the best signing of the offseason. Probably the best value signing of that offseason. For $2 million, you get prime Albert Pujols.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Amazing. But all I'm saying is the Cardinals have been a team in 2024, they were going to go as far as Goldie and Arenado took them, and they didn't take them anywhere. So I think not having them on the team anymore, being able to just move on into a new era, get some more playing time for guys like Palante, who will now get a full season. McGreevy, who we're going to see what he's got. He was awesome in his limited appearances last year, though. Herrera, thank goodness we're going to get his bat in the lineup. Maybe a little less Pedro Pajes, too, would be nice. So all of those things together, I look at this team and I'm at least really excited to watch them. And I think there's a really good chance they finish with 84 or more wins.
You want to respond first, Andrew?
I mean, I think there's a chance. Like, there's a world where Jordan Walker pans out when he gets playing time. There's a world where Nolan Gorman isn't just horrible again. Like, we've seen it happen, right? We've seen 23 Jordan Walker and 23 Nolan Gorman like be decent players, but I just don't see how this team will survive without established star power. And maybe Wilson Contreras will do that if he plays more, if he plays every day at first base.
I don't think star power matters that much. Star power has been detrimental to the Cardinals the last 2 years.
You see the World Series, though?
Yeah, for
star
sure.
Power.
You have to have star power if you're going to win 100 games. Like, that's real. But plenty of teams, like, who'd the Brewers have that's a real star last year?
Yeah, how far did the Brewers go?
Yeah.
The Brewers won the division and made the postseason and won over 90 games. That's still much better than the Cardinals. I'm saying better than the Cardinals.
I guess.
Okay.
But, like, I'm skeptical that the rotation will be as good because the rotation's floor becomes a lot lower.
It's lower.
With guys like Palante, who hasn't proven that he's a viable starter through a full season. Like, I'm comfortable giving him that run, but there's a world where he gets hurt, or there's a world where he doesn't necessarily just like have it throughout the whole year. You see pitchers fatigue, and eventually they just like Jordan Hicks this year, like pitched a record high in innings, and he was great for a while. And then I think the Cardinals start is what really got him, which was pretty funny. But he just like couldn't locate, and then they sent him back to the bullpen. And the Giants have the pitching depth to send guys like that to the bullpen. The Cardinals don't. And I don't know if Fetty is going to replicate anywhere near what he was last year. I'm skeptical of that.
To be fair, he wasn't that good with the Cardinals, though. And
right.
That guy to be a viable.
So I think it would probably be smart to just trade him, but you don't have the Gibson anymore, who's going to give you a solid start pretty much every time out, give you a chance to win.
There's no reason the Cardinals can't.
McGreevy's had like 3 or 4 starts.
They make some trades though. Like, I think if they trade Fetty and Matz, I see the Cardinals going out.
They could go out and get somebody, but and then the bullpen. I think they have to trade Ryan Helsley.
I agree with you. You have to move Helsley.
What good is a closer on a bad team?
Yeah, you have to move Helsley. 100%.
Closers, like, bad teams don't have closers, so like, and then you lose Helsley, the bullpen becomes a lot more similar to what we saw in 2023, where it was like JoJo is probably you don't know what's JoJo going to give you. What is Ryan Fernandez going to give you? And then what? John King becomes your 7th inning guy, and that's fine. Like that's like if you get the same results you get out of 2024 John King, like I would be okay with that. But I don't know. You got to go out and find some other arms, because it's not gonna, like, it's all very up in the air. I think to pin this season on like or to pencil in right now that the Cardinals are going to do better next year is a little bit too much.
That's my hot take. That's why
James Nail coming back would be crazy.
Please don't.
It's a good hot take because I think it's what we're all rooting for. Like, we'll always root for the Cardinals, and at all those best case scenarios you've listed out, like, I felt this surge of optimism that I haven't felt in a little while. Like, there's a lot of young, exciting guys.
Always off-season talk that gets you excited.
Yeah, but it doesn't. When you look at the team, if you take out, I know they had bad years, but normally a recipe for success is not removing your 2 most established veteran stars. If obviously if we lose both of them, that's still an if. It just doesn't seem like. It doesn't seem like it's the right season for an improvement. Like, it's going to be a little bit of work before they become a better team again, which is okay. Like, the front office, all the moves, everything's been about reestablishing the base, and that takes time. So I think it's a good hot take because I want it to come true. But there's no – I'm not expecting 84 wins at all. Everything would have to go right, and it's rare that every single thing goes right. And when you put that many young guys on the field.
I think that not necessarily everything has to go right. Like, I think I'm just higher on some of the current pieces on the roster than other people, I guess. Because I really do think, like, Palante was the Cardinals' best starter last year. his numbers were better than Sonny Gray's in some scenarios. Sonny Gray had the much higher like strikeout rate, for example, which is awesome. As a big Sonny Gray fan, like him having basically a career high there was great. But Sonny Gray had a real problem like suppressing home runs. He had a crazy home run fly ball rate, the worst of his career. Like Lynn and Gibson were fine, and the Cardinals won a lot of their starts, which I know someone put that in the chat. The Cardinals won 32 of 51 games started by them, which, I mean, that's exactly what they were paid to do, and that's really great. And I think if you see that as, someone in the Cardinals front office, you probably should say, well, we could use one of those guys, and that would allow us to move a guy like Fetty and get something else back. So maybe I'm baking in the Cardinals making a move or two to supplant the roster. I also think the bullpen last year was really, really great. And I don't see why that's not a repeatable thing for the Cardinals. I'm not saying it's going to be every bit as good, but also like, hopefully there's no Giovanni Gallegos at the beginning of the year to go out there and just be terrible for 22 innings. Like, hopefully there's no Zach Thompson, who is basically unplayable out of the bullpen last year, who the Cardinals still gave 17 innings to, like those are real numbers at the beginning of the season. And so I think if they just build the way they did last year, acquire these guys with interesting attributes and kind of throw stuff at a board and see what sticks, that's how you find a guy like John King or Ryan Fernandez. So I don't see a reason they can't continue to build a bullpen that way. Also, that's how Chaim Bloom has done that throughout his career. And we saw his fingerprints on like all over those moves. So I hope we see more of that. I just think like the offense last year was historically unlucky. When you think about like Josh brings up this stat all the time. He thinks it's the funniest thing ever, and I'm with him. The Cardinals last year with runners in scoring position were one of the 5 worst individual teams ever. Like, it was not uncommon to see the Cardinals lose 3-1 and go 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position, and that hit was an infield single that moved a guy from second to third. Like, it was just it was terrible last year. And so I think if some of those things regress to the mean, if some of those big gaps, like Brendan Donovan, really unlucky hitter last year too. Like, there was room for him to improve. Lars Nootbaar, super unlucky in terms of like expected slug minus his actual slug. Like, those gaps were huge for guys like him. I think if some of those things regress just to the mean, like he doesn't even have to get lucky. He just has to be less unlucky than he was. And the team has to get a few more hits with runners in scoring position. You could see a much better unit. But yeah, I agree with you guys too. There is a lot that has to go right. And moving on from established pieces is hard, because while they weren't necessarily generating a ton of value for you, they were plugging areas that could now be black holes. And that's true. Like, there's a chance that if Donovan becomes the full-time third baseman, for example, there's a chance he doesn't adjust well to that. And all of a sudden, instead of getting the floor you got from Arenado, at least, it's like, ugh, we don't want to play him there every day. We're trying to move him around. And all of a sudden you see Fermin 3 times.
Yeah. Oh no.
That's not great either.
I'm shocked they didn't non-tender Fermin, but
that was a little crazy.
Yeah, but the stretch they had like a week long. Oh. Yeah, they had like a week-long stretch during the season at some point where they had a lower batting average with runners in scoring position than American League pitchers in 2021. So
it was bad. It was insane last year.
Yeah.
It was absolutely brutal. But before we get into our next hot takes, I just want to take a moment to thank a couple of our sponsors. First off, the show is presented by 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. As you guys know, 314 is located at 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet. They're open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday and Sunday, and they buy and sell and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards. They have the newest selection of packs, boxes, and single cards of local players and stars from around the league. Definitely go check them out. We're going to be doing our charity live stream there this December. Get cool cards like this Mason Wynn 2-way player card from back in the day, which is definitely one of my favorites. But I don't think Mo likes that card very much, given what I asked him at Blogger Day. But also, we're super proud to be partnering with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You got to check out their pick'em. It's so easy to play. Just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. And you can go up to 20 times your money by going 5 for 5. So Paul Goldschmidt runners in scoring position, but the opposite of that. If that sounds like fun, you can sign up now with promo code CARDS to claim your free pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Cannot wait to see your entries. I lost my first pick'em because I went lower on Caleb Williams today for passing yards. So
also lost yesterday.
There you go, Josh. You can have fun because I tried to fade you. You probably made money on that pick. But thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And back to our hot takes.
Andrew, what have you got for us for your next hot take?
Oh, for my next hot take, I'm probably going to say that the Cardinals rebuild. I mean, it's just not going to like they're going to hold too many of their veteran players this offseason. And I think that's something that like the rumors that they're not trading Helsley and the Contreras and Gray things that are staying, and I don't think Arenado is going to get all that much buzz, lead me to believe that like they're not really going to get all that much back in terms of young talent this year, because after those guys, they don't really have any other tradable assets other than some of the young guys who are going to be part of that future. So I don't know. Like, I think Arenado is probably the most likely to be traded, but I think there's a world where they're underwhelmed by the offers for him. They probably have to eat a lot of that salary anyway. Also, if Win homers and strikes out a batter in the next game, I'm going to buy a City Connect at the team store. It's going to happen, but they're not going to let Win pitch, which is tough. I wish they would, but I just don't see. I see a world where Arenado, because he hasn't requested a trade, according to some of the writers. Like, he hasn't expressed like that he wants out as much as like he did in Colorado, where he basically just forced his way out of that city. I definitely don't think that the Cardinals are going to be like blown away by any deals for him. They're probably going to get what the Rockies got, and they might have to kick some back too. Like the Rockies got Austin Gomber, which is honestly like I would take that if you could guarantee me a decent starting pitcher at the back of the rotation for Arenado. I would take it, but everyone else, like Alaris Montero, got DFA, and there's two other prospects who never saw the light of day ever again. But the one rumor I do want to address, like the reason I said this was my hot take, is that there's rumors that Nolan Arenado is being shopped with the Red Sox because they're thinking about moving Devers to a full-time DH. I really like the Red Sox as a trade partner. Just in general,
right now he knows
it's such a good farm system, and Chaim Bloom knows all the secrets. Like he was just there last year, and he knows exactly who's good, who's not good. Like maybe there's a prospect outside the top 30 that Chaim really, really likes, and no one really knows about him. And Chaim could like go and swing a deal for like some of those guys. Like, like we have no idea what Chaim Bloom knows about the Red Sox organization. Maybe some of those top prospects aren't that good. Like maybe he doesn't think that Tristan Campbell or Marcelo Mayer are that good. Probably not. He drafted and developed those guys.
Good.
But, like, I think he's pretty good.
I think they're going to be pretty good, but there's a chance that like he has insight that maybe the Red Sox that other people wouldn't have about the Red Sox, and I think that's a perfect trade partner with that. Obviously, the Red Sox know that Bloom is working for the Cardinals, and they probably try to be careful with that. But if they're interested in some of our players, they've been linked to Arenado now. They've been linked to Helsley as potential trade partners. I would really like that, but I'm just worried that this rebuild will not or reset, whatever.
Yeah, retool, whatever they want.
It's a year, whatever is. Yeah,
let's just call it the re.
The re.
Is going to like it's probably not going to be as quick then in that case if they don't move off from these guys, if they let Gray and Contreras and Helsley. Obviously, Gray, Contreras, and Arenado have the right to stay if they want to. That's baked into their contracts, but. Yeah, I really hope that there's a way they can get young talent back. I just don't see a path for it right now.
So how many trades do you think are going to happen? Like how many guys are there? So like, if you had to put it, let's say 2.5.
I would say like 2.
So under 2.5.
I would say under 2.5. I think 2 is probably where it's going to be. Because like,
I was just going to say, like, it's kind of like Helsley's the one that I think goes for sure, because there's really not, whether it's now in the offseason or before the deadline, there's no reason, as much as I love him, he's a great player. There's no reason to hold on to a stud closer when you're not winning games, which I don't expect him to win a lot of games this year, as tough as that is to say.
It's Arenado, trade him.
Yeah. The Arenado thing, it's kind of a win-win in a way. Like, you either trade him and get some talent and a value that you think is worth it, or you hold on to Nolan Arenado and he's on your baseball team. Like, that's not a bad situation. He's awesome. He's easy to root for. People like, he's Nolan Arenado. I don't need to explain why it's good to have him on your team. Yeah. In terms of the other, why I think it'd be the over 2.5 though, who knows who's going to develop or jump out. Maybe there's another challenge type of trade that we saw the Reds make with the Royals where they traded a young guy for another young guy. You know, Brendan Donovan's great. We keep talking about how great he is. Maybe there's a competing team that needs that utility player and can give up a package of two guys. I don't know who those people are off the top of my head. There'll be someone that emerges. But I definitely think trading wise, it's going to be there's going to be players moved this offseason because you have too many young people competing for spots that you're not sure about. And that seems to be the way that Mo likes to make his moves anyway. So,
yeah, I just think like there was a week where the Cardinals came out with all this stuff and it felt like there was going to be a complete teardown. And I think people got really excited about that for a second.
yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, the Cardinals could, like, Goldie's hitting the books. The Cardinals could move Gray and Contreras and Arenado and Helsley and JoJo and Michaelis and Fetty and Matz. And it was like, yeah, they could trade. Like the Cardinals in theory could move on from like 8 guys if they really had to. If there was like a true like 2004 Marlins level fire sale, like that could happen. But it's obviously not a possibility at this point. The Cardinals have backed off from that. They've said, we're not doing a full teardown.
I forgot about Fetty. I'll go over now because I forgot Fetty existed.
Yeah.
I always forget that
Fetty's market. I don't see him being moved because I don't know what they get for him. He had like half of a good year on the White Sox, and that's really it.
I think people like the fact that he's so cost controlled, though. Like, think about Fetty next year being paid roughly $7 million. His value on them, like, because guys like him would, if Fetty was signing a 1-year deal right now, he'd probably get like $14 to $16 million, I think. And if you're talking, I can get that for $9 million less than market value, and I can put that $9 million into another starter or reliever. And all I have to do is part with like, I don't know, my 14th ranked prospect and my 22nd ranked prospect. Like I might do that.
It's true. The track record on him, I think, lowers his market, and that's why the price is what he is, because he hasn't had. We'll see. If he gets moved, I'd be curious to see what they actually get back. But that's a good point on the contract. So.
Yeah. But so I just think like people got really excited about this idea that the Cardinals could trade everybody. And then when the Cardinals backed off of that and some information came out that said, hey, maybe Contreras doesn't actually want to get traded and Sonny Gray probably doesn't want to move either because he really likes being here. All of a sudden everyone chilled on the idea of a rebuild. I still think it will happen though, because I think there are guys that the Cardinals, they just can't hold on to. Like Ben, you were hammering it with Helsley. You're absolutely right. The Cardinals cannot hold on to Ryan Helsley. If Ryan Helsley is still a Cardinal on opening day, it's a colossal failure. It's an organizational failure. You're not going to extend him.
Yeah.
The haul at the deadline, unless you could get really lucky where there's no other closer available and someone like the 2016 Cubs emerges. Like if the Padres emerged as like a real contender and were desperate for bullpen help and they had an injury in June, like all these things could happen and they could pay you something absurd for him, but it's not going to happen. I don't see that happening. I don't see the stars aligning in that way. You need to move him now. And I think the same thing goes for a guy like Eric Fetty, where at the deadline, there's a chance Eric Fetty's the best arm on the market. If the Cardinals fall out of it, Eric Fetty's having a good year like he did last year. He could easily be the best arm available. At the same time, Eric Fetty could stumble out of the gate. There could be other pitchers available. Like it could be bad. So you need to move him too. And I think the Cardinals will try to move Michaelis or Matz, one of the two. I don't think Michaelis is going to be hard to trade. I think you need to move Arenado. So there are just like too many guys that need to be moved. And I don't think the Cardinals are going to drop the ball on all of them. So I see them making at least 3, but potentially up to 4 or 5 trades. And I think JoJo Romero has real value to trade right now too. And I wouldn't hate to see a JoJo trade. If you could say, hey, Edmundo Sosa gave us like 2.5 really good seasons of JoJo Romero. And then we also got like this other prospect package out of that. That's amazing. That's a great trade tree. So I think that'll happen. I still feel good about a retool occurring.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I forgot Fetty. I always forget Fetty's even on the team. And I think you do too. I think everyone forgets that Fetty's on the team because like he like just wasn't like he had like 1 or 2 starts that were actually relevant. And then
when that trade was made, everyone was so excited. Like, wow, we had to give something up, but this could be it. And then just that was the end.
I mean, he was the second best available pitcher on the market, probably behind Flaherty.
Yeah.
And Flaherty didn't have a great postseason. He had a couple good starts, but like, I don't know. I think I'm just hesitant on like it seems that this if any organization would not trade their all-star closer, it would be the Cardinals. Like it just would happen, right?
I
It's
hope
just
that's
something
not
that they
true.
would do.
I really hope you're.
He's probably like if you trade Arenado, Helsley's probably the most exciting player. Oh, Wynn is there too, but like
Wynn's
along
awesome.
with him and Wynn,
Mason Wynn's fantastic.
But like Mason Wynn doesn't have like the stadium doesn't go dark when he comes up to bat. You know, like I don't know.
Well, that's because he has 20 seconds because the pitch clock. You don't have time.
I get what you're saying, but I do think that the Cardinals, and also I think Chaim Bloom is a smart guy. I think he knows.
Chaim Bloom's not calling the shots this year. That's Mo.
I think Chaim Bloom has a say in what happens.
Yeah,
I think he is calling the shots. I think Mo's there to take the flack from the fact that it's going to be a rough season, and they doesn't want Bloom to start off, as number one on the most hated list. So he's kind of sticking around.
It keeps Bloom from being the guy that showed up and traded Ryan Helsley.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just think that like there are going to be fans out there that say, no, you need to win as many games as possible, and I get that. I really do. Yeah, that's why Josh isn't here. He actually got traded.
Yeah.
I think it is possible that like the fans could look at this and say, you need to win as many games as possible. And like, you always want to be moving forward, and trading a guy like Helsley is moving backwards. And like, I get that, but sometimes in baseball, especially, like you have to move backwards to move forwards. And that's what the Cardinals need to do right now is move backwards, because Helsley could bring you legitimate assets that could make your team way, way better in the future. You really could get back like a guy who's going to be a really good bat for Helsley. If the Orioles, for example, were interested and they felt pressured to make a deal, you could acquire like a legit player. You could package Helsley with something else for us too, and maybe even get like a Heston Kjerstad. You could get someone really good for him. So I think it's a deal that needs to be done. Also, this kind of segues into my next thing. It's about smart management. We complain on here about payroll. Fans complain about payroll, and there's a place for that. But payroll is not the Cardinals' issue right now. And that's what I'm going to say. This is kind of a big picture thing. And I'm going to get on my soapbox for this, but payroll is not the problem. Yes, the Cardinals could spend more money. And yes, like if the Cardinals had Dodgers money, they could just make themselves better, or Mets money. Like they could do that. But that's not realistic. And there are plenty of teams that compete with less. And so it's time to say the Cardinals have spent stupid. And I'm willing to get up there and say that, and they need to spend smarter. That's my big thing for the Cardinals. Payroll is not the issue, and they need to spend smarter. And I want to see it happen right now. The Cardinals are going to drop a ton of payroll. But for the first time ever, we're going to have 3 pitchers in our rotation. That's the big thing that I've complained about at length on this. Why do you pay Miles Mikolas $18 million to be a bad pitcher when you could pay Michael McGreevy $555,000 to be a bad pitcher? You can get bad pitching for free. And that's what bothers me so much about this team. The last guy before last year, when Palante finally got it, like broke into the rotation, the last guy the Cardinals had on a pre-arb contract in the rotation was Dakota Hudson way back in 2021, which was awful. And he was terrible. And before that, really, like,
I don't think he was terrible then. He was like fine.
No, that was post-injury Hudson. Hudson pre-injury was like always a 4.8 FIP and like a 3.2 ERA. It was amazing. But
it did not end well for Dakota Hudson.
Yeah, post-injury Hudson like lost something on his sinker, and he stopped getting ground balls, and then it was just all bad. But really, the Cardinals have just not been able to do this. And I think that's the biggest problem, and I think that's why we're where we are. If the Cardinals didn't always have to spend $45 million to augment the back 3 spots of their rotation, because like, yes, Lynn and Gibson were great for what the Cardinals paid them, but if the Cardinals just could develop 4s and 5s, they could get those guys for free. And then the $26 million that went into Lynn and Gibson, you could pair that with a little bit more money on the side, and you could all of a sudden pursue a real star. And that's what's kept the Cardinals from pursuing real stars. It's what's kept them from shopping at the top of the market. It's these ridiculous, we have to plug gaps in our rotation or on our roster, and it makes me so mad. So that's the thing for me. I think payroll is not the issue. I think spending stupid is the issue.
It kind of leads into my hot take pretty well, if you want me to jump into that. I think they partially learned from that, and partially just because there's no reason to. I would put the Cardinals over under free agents at under 3. If the line's 2.5, I'm taking the under.
Wow.
Maybe a bullpen arm. And there's always one team every year that just doesn't touch the free agent market. Normally it's the Rockies, which is not someone you necessarily want to be compared to. But
Bryant, though.
yeah, exactly. They'll do one thing. So my point exactly, Chris Bryant and Dakota Hudson. But I think they sign a bullpen arm because you just need a veteran to kind of eat innings back there. I could see them signing a bench bat maybe if you need, all the young guys are going to be in the lineup. Maybe get not a Matt Carpenter veteran presence, but somebody along those lines. Otherwise, let the guys on your roster go out there and see what you have. And then when you can actually assess what's on the team, I think that's been another issue is because they've had to spend to plug the gaps, and get these proven innings eaters or, again, the veteran bench presences of the world. You kind of had this log jam of where, let Segejji get some at-bats this year. Let Nolan Gorman just hit the whole season, even if he strikes out for 3 months in a row again. Just let them all get a run and not have these guys that you paid for some reason or no reason taking the shine away from them. So especially with all the trades that I think we talked about not expecting a very active free agent market.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. There are definitely people that think the Cardinals will be active on the free agent market. I'm with you. I think that there are individual moves that could be made to augment the roster. They definitely won't play near the top of the market. I don't think they should this season. It just doesn't make sense for their timeline. And yeah, I think I'm looking at 2, I think is where I'd be. I believe they'll sign a bullpen arm and I believe they'll sign a starter. But I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it. And the thing is, like, I know a lot of people are already putting Quinn Matthews in their rotation for next year. And like, I'm excited about Quinn Matthews. I'm as excited as anybody else about him, but you just can't be relying on him on opening day. He barely pitched at AAA last year. He also struggled in his small sample size at AAA, which is not an indictment on him. Last year, he jumped 4 levels. That's unbelievable progress, and he should be commended for that. But yeah, he's very new to professional baseball. 2 years ago, he was pitching in college. Like, college and Busch Stadium are very, very different things. I go to Baylor. I go to some Baylor baseball games. There's very few players on that field who are ready within 2 years to go play professional baseball. It's very hard. And guys like Paul Skeens, for example, are not the norm. That does not happen very often. I believe Quinn Matthews will contribute next year. I just don't think he'll be contributing in April. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. So you can't rely on him to be in your rotation on opening day.
To clarify, I meant major league free agents too. I'm expecting a lot of like non-roster invites, minor league guys, the guys that are just to roll the dice. A ton of those. But in terms of, sure, bring them back. Bring Hennessy's home. Let's start that. I'm going to start that this offseason. Yeah.
You're a cabbie tree, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Before that last year, he was really fun.
Give me a lefty that.
So if we sign Roki Sasaki, that's a minor league deal, right? So it doesn't count.
Yep. Yeah, that doesn't count against it. So we're still on Sasaki. That's still going to happen.
We're not getting Sasaki. I would love that. Andrew, be honest with me. How good will Sasaki be on day 1?
Good question.
Oh, there's questions. There's health questions for sure.
Really?
He's had I don't think he's had any arm injuries, but he's had like leg, oblique stuff. And I mean, people say he's like the most talented Japanese pitcher that's ever come over. I wouldn't say he's the most complete Japanese pitcher that's ever come over. I would say Yamamoto on day 1 is probably more complete. Obviously, he didn't have like a full season to play. He got hurt. So we'll see what he does next year. But he was great in the playoffs and was great before he got hurt. But I would say I wouldn't expect him to be like amazing right away. But I could see all-star potential like instantly. Like he would be the Cardinals ace if he signed here. But
do you think he's a better pitcher than Sonny Gray, like from day 1 potentially?
Probably.
Man,
his stuff is just better.
His stuff is electric.
Splitter.
He has really good stuff.
Yeah.
The splitter paired with the fastball. Like I think Yamamoto has a better mix, but like
he goes to the right team and they, take care of his innings and develop him spring training.
Like he will definitely start in a major league rotation though, no matter where he signs. Right?
No, he's not going to be in the minors. He's not going to spend a day in the minors. No.
We're sure about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you need more than 2 pitches though to thrive at the major league level.
But he's got other pitches. They're just
what
not
about
like
Spencer Strider.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Spencer Strider has a real home run problem though.
We'll see what he's like coming back from injury this year too.
Yeah.
And
It'll
we
be
should
nice.
find Patrick Sandoval, Cody. I don't like Canning, but I like Sandoval a lot. I think he's just like the issue is he's just not going to pitch until like August.
Yeah,
which is fine. I think he's towards UCL pitching to Shohei, which is tough because they're like best friends. Which is anyway. He was. If you could get WBC Patrick Sandoval back on any team, I think the Angels. I think it's just the fact that he was on the Angels, and there's so many arms like that. It's just like it's just because they're on the Angels that they're horrible, and it's like Reed Detmers isn't a bad pitcher. He's just on the Angels, and it's not his fault.
I would love a Reed Detmers deal. I don't know who the Angels want from us, but that would be a good addition.
The Carlson Detmers rumor mill was
yeah.
I think anyone is better if they're not on the Angels right now. Like, imagine Joe Adell coming up in the Dodgers system. He could have been a stud, man.
Look at what happened to Albert Pujols in that system. And then look what happened as soon as he left.
I always wanted us to trade for Brandon Marsh. That was a good that one worked out.
Yeah, great for Philadelphia. He's been really good. Or even like some of these, like Taylor Ward, if he could just like get out of Anaheim and be on a team where he doesn't have to carry. Like, I really like him. I think he's a really good player.
Solid bat.
Like, he could be a great player somewhere else. Really good role player. But Anaheim.
What would they have to give you if for how much of their of Rendon's salary would the Angels have to pay down to do an Arenado Rendon swap? Like all of it?
So much. Because you just like at this point you don't know if Rendon's ever going to play.
How many years does he have left?
He's like 3 years left, or 2 years left, maybe.
It's insane.
He's probably just going to retire and not even seek another contract because he got his money. He doesn't even like baseball, so whatever.
I don't get that. I feel like that just was not a thing that people knew about before.
He just hates baseball, which is crazy. That like
did he hate baseball when he was with the Nationals?
He made some comments. Like he made some weird comments where he's like, "Yeah, I don't like watching baseball, but like that's I don't know."
Yeah, I don't think that's that abnormal though. Like because it's these guys' job, you know. Like you're on the grind every day at the office.
Sure.
It is what it is. But it was not a thing where people were really questioning like his commitment to his team and his sport when he was in Washington. It's the Anaheim effect, man. That place is where players go to die.
It sucks the life out of you. It sucked the life out of Pujols, and I'm really sad. He probably would have hit 800 home runs if he stayed in St. Louis, but whatever.
That's not a hot take. I know we're doing hot takes. I don't think that one is.
No, it's not.
He totally could have chased 800. I think he would have gotten to 762. I'll tell you that. I believe he would have set the record.
That would have been
cool. Bonds at 762. Is that what he finished
Something
at?
Like that. Something
crazy.
Yeah.
What may have been. We'll never know.
I know. Yeah, I mean, you think about all the guys that went and died in Anaheim, like Josh Hamilton, big contract in Anaheim, gone. Zach Cozart, you remember that guy? Anaheim signed him to wait for money. Like it's just a thing now. It's
Brandon Drury.
Yeah.
How long do you think Trout stays in LA?
Forever. Like Trout's their Stan Musial, where it's like this is the best player we've ever developed, best player that's ever been on our team.
Not even the best player they've ever developed. Sorry, Sandy.
They didn't develop Shohei Ohtani, and also Trout has accomplished so much as a player.
How many World Series has? How many playoff games has Trout played in?
How many MVP? Trout has how many MVPs?
Three.
He should have.
Shohei
Trout absolutely should have more MVPs.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see if he gets dealt soon.
Yeah, I hope they trade him. Well, this was a fun episode, guys. Obviously, we're kind of waiting for the Cardinals to make some moves here. But if you recall last year, Andrew pointed this out to me the other day. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving last year is when the Lynn and Gibson news sort of broke really quickly, and the Cardinals made some moves right away. They jumped the market. So we'll see if they do that again this year. If they do, we'll be here for you guys. We'll probably do an emergency pod if something big like that breaks. But yeah, we're just excited to keep bringing you this news. Obviously, go Cards, and hope it's a fun offseason. Hope our hot takes next time around are a little more positive, a little more exciting. But yeah, I guess we talked a lot about speculation with this offseason. We'll just really have to wait and see. But thanks again for joining us. Remember, we like to put up our Q&A episodes every week. So if you have any questions you want addressed in there, any hot takes that we didn't address, comment below. Please like, subscribe, share this to your friends, and we'll see you guys next time.